Okay, we're going to go up to the word file, down to place embedded, up to file, down to place embedded. This is where you're going to go find one of your landscape pictures. Now, this is a newer dialog box that pops up. It says, hey, do you want to go grab something from your Creative Cloud account? Or we're going to say, you know what? No, I have it saved in downloads. So I'm going to check on my computer on the bottom left-hand corner. And I saved those beach images inside my downloads. So I click on downloads on the left-hand side. Then I go to images and I will navigate to find that image I would like to use. Then click my blue place and ba-bam, magically it fills the entire screen. So place, file, place, and then I want you to freeze for a second. File, place, embedded. Navigating to go find those pictures, you'll get used to knowing what kind of assets to find in order to not have to resize. But if you do, let's say that for some reason your picture comes in like this, these white bounding boxes resize. And anytime you see this check mark on your options toolbar, you have to commit this edit before you're able to move on. So I have resized my image. It looks good. I'm going to use it as my background. And then I'm going to go and click my check mark. And just to learn about filter and filter galleries, we're going to make this background image devoid of color. We're going to make it either black and white, or you can put some kind of a one color tint to it. And so to do that, we're going to go up to filter and down to filter gallery. So we're going to change the attributes of this picture. We're going to shop some photos by going up to the word filter. Whoops, sorry, you have to select in your layers panel. Make sure you select your image, then go up to filter and down to filter gallery. Up to filter, down to filter gallery. From here, I know it's hard to see, so sometimes I resize what that might look like. And notice that these folders, again, yours might look like this, and you're like, well, what the heck is under there? Reminder, bless you. Sorry, not excuse me, bless you. Any triangle expands to lots of different options. Here's a colored pencil option. Here's a poster edge. I really like that. That's not what I want today, though. I need to do like a black and white. Here's where a sketch, that's pretty interesting. That definitely, these remind me of like concert posters. The halftone is awesome. Once you select one of the filters, it will give you options for the filter to the right. This is just as important to know that you can change these on the right hand side. I can change how many dots. I can change the size of my dots. Maybe I don't want a halftone pattern of dots. Maybe I want lines. Here's diffuse glow. Maybe I want less graininess. Maybe I want more graininess. Glowing Edges always has a fun little. So take 1 minute to expand all of those folders. Scroll through there and see what it's like to use the filter gallery. Okay, I'm going to end up landing. So in 30 seconds, let's land on one that takes the color out, or if you'd like to do like something like your neon glow with a different brightness or a tint, that's up to you. That's a little dark, but you can change all of the different attributes. I'm going to go to this halftone. I'm going to make it super small for one and the dot pattern, then click OK. So notice how your layers panel changes once you click OK. There's a filter underneath. So what's great about this, again, is designing for flexibility. This eyeball to the left is what's called your show hide. So you can hide that filter or show that filter simply by clicking the eyeball. So we're going to leave this filter. And then the next thing we're going to do is add some text on top of our postcard. So I'm going to navigate to T on my keyboard, or I'm going to click and hold on my text tool on the toolbar on the left-hand side, noticing that when I do select my text tool, the options for the font family, the kind, the size, the color, anytime you see one of these color blocks, that is a color picker. Okay, and then toggling between my characters. This is where you change, like we talked about tracking, leading, kerning. Let's go, you can go to your text tool and change your color. Add some text. Okay, yeah. You might have to delete those folders that you did if you have to. Okay, we have to go choose our layer. So go back to window, down to layers, and then you should Okay, so I am going to choose my T on my text tool. I can change my foreground color. There's so many different ways to do everything inside Photoshop. Every time you see this color block, this sets the text color. I can even set my foreground color, which is over on the left-hand side, if I wanted that also. I'm going to choose like a yellow for right now. Then I will click and drag to make a bounding box. And I'm going to add some text that has some weight to it. And I'm going to increase the size a ton. So what I did there was T for text. If you want to go ahead and change the size on the top, that's great. If you want to go ahead and change the color, that's great. If you use your pull down, it will give you a small sampling of what this text looks like, but sometimes I feel like you have to type something. Well, in order for it to really have the look and feel you want. This is a bounding box, so if you get letters like this where you need to have the full word, you just have to resize, make that box wider. And then I will move this down. And actually I need a darker color because my sand is white, so I'm going to go ahead and make this blue. I'm going to reverse my colors. You just have to double, if you want to change attributes after you've added text, this contextual toolbar should be there also. You can change size, font, color, use your tiny pull down with the 3 lines, use your sliders here, which opens your property panels. I'm going to give you guys a minute to experiment with putting in just one piece of large text. Okay, we're going to come back to our Photoshop. Make sure that you have your layers panel showing. If you don't see it, you can go up to the word window and down to layers, or you can toggle and just click on that tab. Notice how another layer pops up on there. I can tell I'm in my text layer because A, it says T, and number 2, it says what you typed. So you can tell which layer you're on. Okay, a couple of things that we can do now is we can actually change the properties, going back to what we talked about with typography with tracking. If I go to window down to properties, so if you go window to properties, properties is an amazing panel because no matter what you're doing, whether you're in an image, a graphic, a created graphic, a shape, or a layer, or excuse me, or text, it will give you shortcut options here. So underneath character, because again, anytime we see that caret, this is what you may see when you open it up. So if you're like, I don't even know what's here. Sometimes if I'm not sure, I haven't been in Photoshop for a while, I'll just expand everything so I can see, especially like quick actions. And so now I can see, oh, here's my tracking. So remember how tracking is spreading all of those letters out? So I can increase my tracking. I can even go to my 3 dots, and if I decided to make my horizontal scale of my letters larger or smaller, this is larger, definitely does not work. So I'm going to come back and bring it back. Toggling between my move tool or clicking on it, it will be a responsive move tool to then keep moving it around. So layers and properties, super important to know, to always have them available and keep checking and working with them. Going back to our directions, we are actually on direction number 3 that says add text of your choice in a heavy bold font. All capitals, name of the place, add a thin stroke and a drop shadow. That's what we're going to do next. We're going to add a stroke, which is a border inside or outside of your text, and then we're also going to add a drop shadow. Okay, so we're going to come back to our text layer, make sure that it is selected. So let me go grab my text layer. Now, on your text layer, on your layers panel, excuse me, you're going to see a group of 6 little buttons. You're going to see a group of 6 little buttons. I'll use my little pointer here. These are all super duper important, and they do about 1 million things, and they're super tiny. Okay, so this one is a linking of the layer. The F of X, if you hold it over for a half a second, says add a layer style. This is your clipping mask. You'll do this constantly. The yin and the yang symbol is an adjustment layer, which is going to be us next week we're going to use. This is on your layers panel. This is to create a folder. If you want to create a new layer, that's a plus sign. And of course your trash. So if you need to trash anything, you simply click on the layer and then drag it down to the tiny trash can. So we're going to go to a layer style because that's how we change what cool things we want to do to our text. So I'm going to hover on that tiny little F of X and click on blending options. I'm going to hover on that tiny F of X and click on blending options. From here, if this dialog box covers your text like this, I can't see what it looks like. So if your dialog box is covering your text, take your mouse and click in the title and just click and drag over so you can see part of your text. Now the craziest part of this particular layer style is you would think that you just need to click in the little box to toggle it, but clicking in the tiny little box with your mouse only applies the default. It doesn't allow you to change it. So if you want to change your stroke or change your drop shadow, you actually have to click on the word. It's the weirdest interface. Okay, so I'm going to go to layer style button on my layers panel, blending options. If it's covering my text, I'll click in the title bar, I'll move it over. Now I'm ready. It says to do stroke and drop shadow. Do you guys see the word stroke in that menu? Do you see the word drop shadow? We're going to do stroke first. So again, if I want to change the stroke, I actually click on the word, do not just click on the check mark box. So mine has been kind of fancy because obviously I've been playing around with it. But all of these attributes, there are 10 different things to watch out for as soon as you click on the word stroke. So number 1, you can change the size. Here's a really large stroke. Here's a small stroke. Do I want it on the outside or the inside? I will tell you that you very rarely with text put stroke on the inside because it erodes the readability of the letter. So I'm going to click on outside. I can even change a blend mode if I would like for it to be have a little soft light, or I can change the opacity. I can do what's called overprinting. I can even put in a pattern or a gradient for my stroke. If I want to change the color to something like here's red, here I just simply click on, again, I found a color picker. So for 1 minute, I want you to experiment with what it's like to change the stroke, get comfortable with changing the attributes of the stroke, even so far as going to create some new gradients, a gradient that you think you would love on your project.
trying to do colors that I could see.
Oh yeah, okay. So we clicked on the word stroke. We clicked on the word normal. Sorry, I'm not able to go backwards. Okay, looks like we've got a ton of strokes for some reason, so I'm going to that has a place. What we're doing is adding more strokes. So I'm just going to go for one so we can see. Also, if something's not working, the first thing you try is making sure we're on the same right layer.
Mm-hmm.
So see how we're on this, on the top of this down. See how I'm on this layer 2 and not the word mountains? So it's not going to change mountains because I'm on this layer. So the first thing is to say, oh, am I on the right layer? Because it will automatically, sometimes kind of crazy things do. So now when you go to mountains, to here, to blending options. Now when you click on the word stroke, and like you'll change it to white again. Bless you, bless you. And then like increase your size, you'll see it. Okay. It reminded me a very important rule of thumb for Photoshop. If something's quote unquote not working or you're not getting it to show up, go back to your layers panel to make sure you're on that right layer, especially text layers like the slip of a mouse, or sometimes it adds in like extra text layers. So go back to that text layer. Okay, next part of the direction is we're going to add in a drop shadow. So again, we want to click on the word drop shadow in our layer style dialog box. So I'm not going to click in the box, I'm going to click on the word. Then notice how lots of different attributes pop up on the right hand side. I'm going to put in a dark shadow so you can see. And yesterday I played around with even a contour. You can even change to make it look like there's neon lights if you use this pull down. So I want you again to take about a minute. You should even play around with what increasing or decreasing opacity. This is a great way to make an image pop, to make text pop, because it gives a 3D effect. And this distance is way too far.
Good morning. Can you please send Raleigh Schroyer to the main office? Thank you.
So to get an effective drop shadow, look how weird this looks. And so I'm going to decrease the distance to make it look like it's just barely giving me some 3D pop. So you're clicking on the word stroke, you're clicking on the word drop shadow. So take another minute. No, it's okay. Take another minute to play around with that. Again, what does the spread do? What does the distance do? What does it do when I click on different contours? All right, so we have even experimented with different layer styles. What's fun about layer styles is that you can literally just build and build and build and build. So the last thing before we keep moving is I want you to click on other items. So for example, a gradient overlay. So maybe look how cool it is when I click on the word gradient overlay and then I use my pull down. And again, it might not look like much, but when I expand these folders, check out all the different gradients that I have available. You can even do a custom gradient. This is under gradient overlay. I'm like totally mixing a bunch of colors here. And by default, your basic gradient will be your foreground and background color. So right now, like when I go up to basics, my basic will be yellow and white because that is what my foreground and background color are set to right now. Don't mind that. I don't love my stroke. So I'm going to have to take a second to fix my stroke. Maybe it's just the reverse. Maybe I want it to be I just think it's not the yellow. So I'm going to go edit my gradient. I don't love the yellow. I really don't love that. That's really hard to read. That's pretty aggressive, but easier to read. Let me go to a charcoal there. Okay, in 30 more seconds. Even a bevel and emboss gives an awesome, check out the difference between the bevel and emboss, just the way it makes it pop and it makes it more 3D in our static graphic. All right, let's go ahead and click OK here. So now we have in our layers panel, you can see that when I fly this out, we have our filter gallery that we made changes to. Then we made changes to our beach, my beach layer, whatever your text is. If you don't love something, you can obviously click the eyeball. That's the show hide, even on your layers panel. So this is what we were talking about, designing with flexibility, because you can show and hide all of these different attributes. Okay, we need to set ourselves up for downloading a custom shape. And so to do that, let's all pop back into the game plan. And I'm going to skip down to direction number 6 right now, where it says in another corner, duplicate that picture. So inside the custom ribbon shape. Now I failed to put in a direction that says we need to download that custom shape. So there is a file, a link on direction number 6 that says this CSH set. CSH stands for custom shape tool, custom shape. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this link. And it's going to give me a dialog box. Just make sure you know where that goes. If you want to put it somewhere else, you can click and drag or click and make a separate or another destination. For example, this is desktop, but I'm going to keep this in my downloads. I know it's called ribbon shapes for free, and then click save. So that is the actual last thing I'm going to have you guys do before we practice saving, because you've paid attention a lot today. So make sure that you have this custom shape downloaded. Even if you went to this alternative link and it gives you gobbledygook, I know this sounds crazy, but downloading this file into your into your computer puts the shapes into Photoshop because it knows what to do with this extension of .csh. So in all reality, both of them work. The other one is just a little bit more user friendly. So downloading that CSH file is going to set us up for what we need to do with our example of putting a ribbon on there. Okay, you guys have done such a nice job of listening to me. I know that this is difficult. It will not always be like this. I will not always talk for this long. I just want to get us specifically set up. So let's go ahead. We're going to save our projects, and we have to practice saving in the cloud. So no matter what, we don't lose it. Like, let's say that you use another computer, your computer crashes, or you want to share this file with a friend because you're going to collaborate. We're going to go up to the word file, down to save as, up to file, down to save as, and make sure that it says in kind of grayed out letters, save to Creative Cloud. This is second hour. So put in a specific, there's nothing, actually there are a lot of things, but the word untitled, like you can't have 50 untitled projects. So name it picture or beach or fun place or even today's date or would work. And then you're going to click this blue save. So the blue save, make sure that it gets inside Creative Cloud. Now, if you wanted to change it to put it in your desktop or documents or something like that, you would navigate to the on your computer, which would give you your Finder. But we're going to click on that blue save to save inside the cloud. And I can tell that it's saved inside the cloud because that file extension, instead of a PSD, changes to a PSDC. Do you guys see that in your top, in your file extension? So the title bar should have changed from PSD to PSDC. That's how we can tell we're in the cloud. Okay, you guys did awesome. You're totally and completely free. Okay, file save as. Now, oh, yours gets, if you save to cloud. If you get a smaller dialog box, you just need to navigate to say save in cloud. If you didn't get the box that I had, you just need to put save to cloud. Make sure you're, and then you see, there it goes, PSDC. Let's go to your cloud, make sure it's up to date. It's weird that yours is, just slightly off of mine. I'll try to make sure I come back more often and look this up, okay? Okay, let's do, cancel this super fast. Why did that happen? Let's do file save as again. And so weird. Let's get rid of PSD. Like just, yes, and then click cancel this super fast. Let's go to up to file, now to preference, or excuse me, Photoshop 2023 is my fault. Oh, I know, click the check mark there. Anytime we see that check mark, okay, now you should be able to do it. And that was it. Okay, cancel this. Now go up to Photoshop 2023. Down to settings. We're going to go to file handling. Let me see what's going on here. Let's do choose directory. Let's create that. Cancel this. Sorry. This is so weird. Cancel this. I was looking for something that says like save at the top. Okay. The file. Let's go file save. Okay, that's saving now. File save as. Let me check Dropbox. See what this does. It does nothing. How to save as a copy. Save a copy. It's not letting me do file documents. Cancel this. Let's go to Photoshop. Let's go up. Alright, you have it saved. It's in your, you know where it's going. Let me do a little bit of Googling. Okay, this says, let's go to Creative Cloud. And then it says up to date. We may have to log out. So the fixes are saying to check your account. Like, go ahead and close out Photoshop. When you change the file format to JPEG to PSD. I wish that wasn't the fix for everything. Like, close out, get back in. Okay. Actually, yes. Hold on. I am still screen recording. Let me stop this real quick.